The grand hall of the alien capital shone with light. Tall banners hung from the ceiling, glowing with symbols of peace. The galaxy had been at war for decades, and now the leaders had finally gathered to end it. Across the long crystal table sat generals, diplomats, and rulers of dozens of worlds. Their eyes were fixed on one Manan outsider. The human representative sat calmly, his uniform clean, his face steady. He had no weapon, no army behind him, yet the room felt heavier because of his presence. His smile was small but unshakable. He looked at the alien emperor directly, without fear. The emperor, a creature of scales and crowns, shifted in his seat. No one ever dared to hold his gaze for so long. The treaty was ready. Words had been carved into crystal plates, written in the languages of all known civilizations, it was supposed. To be a symbol of unity, no more blood. No more fleets burning in the void. At least that was what the galaxy believed. But as the human placed his hand on the treaty and smiled, a strange silence filled the chamber. The alien saw nothing unusual only, a gesture of peace, yet something about that smile unsettled them. It was too calm, too certain. The emperor leaned forward. So, humanity accepts peace at last. His voice echoed through the hall. The human nodded. Yes, peace. The word felt sharp in the air. Simple. Final. The treaty was signed, sealed, with the human's mark. Every leader in the hall applauded, their voices mixing with relief. Billions would celebrate tonight across the stars. The Great War was over, but peace, real peace, never begins with a smile. Sometimes it begins with a trap. Within hours of the signing, strange events spread across the empire. On distant mining worlds, machines stopped obeying their masters. Military stations' fleets failed to launch. Gates connecting systems flickered and died. Whole planets lost power as if something had reached into their hearts and pulled the core away at first. The emperor thought it was sabotage, perhaps rebels, or enemies hidden within his own people. But soon the truth became impossible to ignore. The collapse was too perfect, too synchronized. It was as if every world had been waiting for one signal, one word, and then began to unravel. That word had been spoken in the treaty hall. Behind the human smile lay preparation hidden for years, while the galaxy had watched Earth with suspicion, mocking their small fleets and primitive colonies. Humans had been building something else, not armies, not fleets. Something far more dangerous. They had built understanding, long before the treaty. Human envoys had traveled quietly, learning alien languages, their trade codes, their laws. They studied not weapons but systems, the networks that carried food, the protocols that moved ships, the codes that held the empire together. Where others saw power in warships, humanity saw power in knowledge, and when the treaty was signed, all that knowledge was released like a storm. On the second day, communication hubs failed. Admirals screamed orders into dead channels. Fleets drifted in silence. Colonies begged for help, but no reply ever came. On the third day, banking systems collapsed. Entire treasuries vanished as if sucked into a black hole. Generals could not pay their soldiers. Armies scattered. On the fourth day, chaos consumed the streets. Riots burned through the empire's proud cities. Governors fought each other for food, for power, for survival, and still, the human smile haunted the emperor's mind. He remembered it clearly, that calm, polite expression. No anger, no gloating. Just certainty. By the fifth day, the empire was broken. Its fleet stood, useless. Its colonies had turned on each other. What centuries of war could not destroy? One treaty had ended in less than a week. The emperor sat in the dark of his shattered throne room, listening to the sound of alarms. His empire, the greatest in the galaxy, was gone, not by battle, not by invasion, but by trust, by signing a single sheet of crystal, and the human who had smiled was nowhere to be found. Far away, beyond the reach of the collapsing empire, human ships drifted silently. They carried no weapons, no armies, only messages. The messages spread through the stars like fire, speaking to the oppressed, the forgotten. The weak, the message was simple. The war is over, but peace will not be given. Peace will be built. With us, the galaxy had always feared humanity's violence. What they never feared was humanity's patience. And that was their greatest mistake, because a smile can hide a blade sharper than any fleet. And now, the galaxy would learn what kind of peace humans bring. The Empire did not die quietly after the treaty. News spread fast across the galaxy. Billions celebrated in the streets, believing war was finally over. But by the second day, celebration turned to confusion. By the third day, confusion turned to fear. By the fifth day, fear turned into collapse. In the shattered throne room, the Emperor demanded answers. His ministers spoke in broken voices, each carrying news worse than the last. Highways between stars shut down. Colonies no longer. Sending shipments, armies, deserting, treasure vaults. It's empty. The Emperor's claws scraped against his throne. How? Who dares do this? But deep inside, he already knew. The answer wore a human smile. Not a single human fleet had entered his territory. No armies, no bombs. And yet his empire was falling apart as if pulled apart from the inside. He slammed his fist against the crystal treaty. This paper, this cursed agreement. But it was too late to undo what had begun. Far from the capital, hidden in the shadows of silent moons, humanity watched. On Earth, in their underground command centers, in orbital stations around Mars, the architects of the plan waited for reports. Their voices were calm, but their eyes sharp. It begins, one said. The systems are reacting exactly as expected. Another confirmed. By tomorrow, their fleets will not even be able to move. They had not lied when they signed the treaty. Humanity wanted peace, but peace on their own terms. For years, human envoys had worked like ghosts. They had listened while others laughed at them. They had learned while others ignored them. They mapped every weakness of the galactic empire. And when the treaty was signed, every hidden key was turned at once. To the galaxy, it looked like a curse. To humanity, it was design. On the sixth day, a desperate meeting was called by the Empire's surviving governors. They gathered in a hidden station, voices trembling. It must be sabotage. Rebels? Pirates? No, it is the humans. It must be the humans. One governor slammed the table. But they had no fleets, no weapons. They came only with words. Another whispered, words can be sharper than blades. The governors argued, shouted, begged for solutions. None came. Their power had always rested on control of trade, control of communication, control of wealth. But now, those very chains had been broken. Their subjects no longer feared them. In the chaos, whispers began to spread among the common people. Whispers of humans. They kept their word. They ended the war. They freed us. Empires, subjects, tired of centuries of blood and hunger, began to turn their eyes toward Earth, not as enemies, not as outsiders, but as something new. By the seventh day, riots no longer raged only in the Empire's cities. They turned into uprisings. Soldiers abandoned their governors and joined the crowds. Whole colonies declared independence. Flags of the Empire were burned in the streets, and in the middle of it all, humans remained silent, watching, waiting. The Emperor's fury burned like a dying star. They tricked us, he growled. But I will not kneel. I will not fall while humans laugh at my empire. He called his last fleet, gathering what ships still obeyed. Thousands answered, dulled, broken, desperate, but still armed. He sent a single command. Find them. Find the humans. Destroy them before they spread further. Not so easy. Humanity had learned to hide well. Their ships traveled without signals. Their colonies spoke in codes. By the time the Emperor's fleet reached the edge of human space, they found nothing but empty stars and silent stations, and yet humanity had already found them. On the eighth day, the Empire's last fleet lost power. Engines shut down mid-flight. Weapons froze. Soldiers panicked inside dead metal shells, drifting helplessly in the void. One by one, human voices filled their comes, calm, steady. Without anger, the treaty was signed. The war is over. Lay down your arms. Drift forever. The soldiers looked to their commanders, but the commanders were silent. They knew the truth. Their empire no longer existed. Back on Earth, human envoy who had smiled at the emperor looked out across the night sky. His words were simple, spoken only to himself. They wanted peace. Now they will learn ours. So, in less than 10 days, the greatest empire in the galaxy became dust. Not by battle, not by invasion, but by a human smile, carved into history like a scar the stars would never forget. The empire was gone. Its banners no longer waved across the stars. Its fleets drifted powerless. Its governors were hunted in the streets by their own people. But destruction was never humanity's goal. The treaty had been only the first move. Now came the second. On the 10th day after the signing, something strange appeared in the skies of fallen worlds. Small human ships unarmed, carrying no soldiers, descended carefully into the ruins of cities. They carried food, medicine, and strange machines that hummed with quiet power. At first, the people feared them. Humanity had been the Empire's enemy for so long. Rumors painted them as monsters, as clever liars, as dangerous predators. But hunger was stronger than fear. The people reached out for the food. They accepted the medicine. And when the human machines restored light to their dark cities, many fell to their knees in silence. The Empire had ruled with chains. Humanity arrived with gifts. And that was far more dangerous than war. Whispers spread quickly. The humans saved us. They keep their word. They bring peace, real peace. For the first time in centuries, hope returned to broken worlds. But not everyone welcomed this new order. Far away, in secret chambers beyond the Empire's ruins, old powers gathered, admirals who had escaped the collapse, merchants who had hidden their wealth, leaders who refused to bow to Earth. They called themselves the True Flame. They believed humanity's peace was nothing more than a trap, another empire rising in silence. They destroyed the old throne with tricks, one admiral spat. Now they come with food and lies. Do you not see? They will bind the galaxy. With smiles instead of chains, the others agreed. Fear burned in their hearts. For if the galaxy truly trusted humans, then no weapon could fight them. Not fleets, not armies. The True Flame made a vow. If humanity wanted the galaxy, they would have to fight for it. Back on Earth, humanity already expected this. In secret rooms under stone and steel, leaders studied reports. Some colonies celebrated them as saviors. Others cursed them as manipulators. Now whispers of resistance were growing louder. They will not sit idle. One human strategist warned, the galaxy has lost its master. Someone will always try to wear the crown again. The envoy who had smiled at the treaty nodded. Let them try. They do not understand yet. We are not here to rule them. We are here to change them. But even as he spoke, the first flames of resistance began to rise. On a frontier world, a convoy of human ships was attacked. Supplies burned in the sky, scattered across the deserts below. Survivors reported alien raiders carrying the old banners of the Empire on another world. Human aid workers vanished without trace. Their machines were found destroyed, their food stolen, their voices silenced. And then came the message. It was BROADCAST openly across the void, heard by every star system, still alive. The voice belonged to a scarred alien admiral of the old empire. You may have broken our fleets, you may have fooled our people, but humanity will never own us. We are the True Flame. We will burn your peace to ash. The galaxy trembled. Another war about to begin? Humanity's response was not loud. No fleets moved. No armies gathered. Instead, one quiet message left Earth, sent across every channel. It came from the same envoy who had signed the treaty, the man whose smile had ended an empire. His voice was calm, steady, like stone cutting through water. Peace is not a gift. It is not something handed to us. It is something we build. If you resist it, then you resist the future itself. The galaxy has a choice: live with us or collapse without us. The words spread far and wide. Some cheered them, some cursed them, but no one ignored them. And in the shadows, the true flame prepared their strike. It would not let humanity's peace spread further. It would not let the smile of Earth carve new chains across the stars. But humanity was not afraid. They had already played their first move, and the next would decide the fate of every living world. The first attack came without warning. A human relief ship, carrying medicine to a starving colony, vanished in deep space. Hours later, wreckage floated out of a nebula, shattered hulls. Torn metal, no survivors. The markings on the debris were clear. It was humanity's flag, burned into silence. The galaxy held its breath. For days, whispers spread. The true flame has returned. They are hunting the humans. The Empire is not dead after all. On Earth, the news was met with silence. No angry speeches, no cries for revenge. Instead, human leaders gathered in a dark chamber. Maps of the stars glowing before them. They want us to answer with war, one strategist said. They want fleets, fire, destruction. They think we will fight like them. The envoy who had signed the treaty shook his head slowly. Eyes were calm, but there was steel behind them. No, they will expect our guns. Instead, we will give them something they cannot fight. And so, humanity stayed quiet. But silence does not mean weakness. On the worlds once ruled by the Empire, strange things began to happen. Old governors who joined the true flame found their vaults empty. Admirals who pledged to fight humanity discovered their fleets no longer obeyed them. Supplies cut, fuel gone. Weapons frozen. It was the same invisible power that had destroyed the Empire. Humanity had learned not to strike with swords, but with the roots of power itself. Still, the true flame was not broken. They were desperate, but desperation can be more dangerous than strength. They struck again, hitting a human outpost near the rim of known space. This time, they broadcasted the images of burning human ships for all the galaxy to see. This is the fate of Earth's liars. The scarred admiral roared, "Do not bow to them. Do not trust their smiles. Join us, and we will burn the chains they hide beneath their peace." His words carried fire. And on some worlds, people listened. Fear of the Empire had always been heavy, but fear of humans, fear of their hidden knowledge, was new. On one colony, riots began. Crowds shouted, "No more outsiders," and burned human aid stations. On another, governors declared loyalty to the true flame, refusing to allow human ships to land. The galaxy trembled on the edge of chaos once more. But Earth did not rush. Humanity had learned patience. Instead of answering the admiral's fire, with fire, they sent their own message. The envoy appeared again, his face calm, his voice steady. War has ended. Yet some choose to light flames again. We'll find no victory, not against us. It's not against the people who have already tasted freedom. The true flame promises chains of war, promise peace. Decide for yourselves who speaks the truth. Words were not shouted. They did not carry fire.
Us!
But they spread faster than any fleet could travel.
Us!
On starving worlds, on ruined colonies, people remembered who had fed them, who had healed them. Many turned away from the true flame's call, but not all. The scarred admiral grew bolder. He began building something greater than raids, a fleet. Not as vast as the old empires, but filled with ships stolen, bought, or rebuilt from ruins. He gathered warriors who hated humans more than they feared death. And in the shadows of a dying star, the true flame prepared their strike. Earth knew. Humanity was watching. Every move, every whisper, every stolen ship was already marked. But they did not stop it, not yet. The envoy looked out over the glowing maps of the stars. Let them gather. Let them believe they are strong again. But when they finally strike, the galaxy will see the truth. The choice will be clear. And so, the trap was set. The true flame believed they were hunting humans. In truth, They were walking straight into humanity's design, for peace is not built in. Silence alone. Sometimes, to build peace, you must let your enemies reveal themselves, and when they do, the stars will remember. The galaxy had grown quiet again. It's quiet everywhere. People whispered about the true flame. Their banners appeared on stolen ships. Their voice spread through hidden channels. Their promises burned into desperate hearts. And still, humanity did not strike. It confused everyone. Why do the humans not fight? Alien merchants asked. Why do they not send fleets? Governors demanded. Are they afraid? Soldiers whispered. The answer was silence. But silence does not mean weakness. It means waiting. In the shadows, humanity was watching. They traced every stolen weapon, every hidden fleet. Their machines listened to every broadcast, every whisper of rebellion. And while the true flame grew louder, humanity grew patient. The scarred admiral of the true flame grew bolder each day. His fleet now stretched across dozens of worlds. His broken warships from the old empire, patched with stolen parts, floated proudly under his command. He declared that soon he would march on Earth itself. The galaxy trembled. Perhaps the humans were only lucky, some said. Perhaps their tricks worked once, but not again. Even on Earth, some leaders questioned. Should we strike first? They asked. Should we end this fleet before it grows too large? But the envoy who had signed the treaty shook his head. His voice was calm, yet final. No, they must strike first. If we crush them now, the galaxy will see us as conquerors. But if they reveal themselves, if they attack openly, then all will see who truly breaks the peace. And then no one will doubt us again. So Earth waited, and the Admiral, blind with pride, prepared his great strike. On the edge of the galaxy, hidden deep inside a dead star system, his fleet gathered. Thousands of warriors swore loyalty, promising to burn humanity's false peace with fire. The Admiral stood before them, his scarred face glowing under the lights of warships. Once the Empire ruled the stars. Now, humans pretend to replace it. But tonight, we show the galaxy the truth. They are weak. Their smiles are lies. Peace is chains. We will burn them from the sky. Cheers thundered through the void. The Admiral's fleet launched. Her target was not Earth, it was something more clever. Human colony at the edge of known space, small and unprotected. A perfect symbol to destroy. The galaxy watched. Billions tuned into secret channels, waiting for the battle. The true flame made sure of it. They wanted the galaxy to see humans burn, but when the fleet arrived, something was wrong. The colony was there, light shining, cities alive, but no human defenses, no fleets, no guns. The Admiral laughed. They are cowards. They hide while we destroy their children. His ships surrounded the colony, ready to fire. But before a single shot was launched, the colony itself flickered. The lights of the city shifted. The towers melted like smoke. The whole planet began to vanish. It had never been real. The Admiral froze. His ships were not surrounding a colony. They were standing inside a trap. At that moment, every screen across the galaxy lit up. Billions of people on thousands of worlds saw the same thing. The true flame fleet caught in the open. Human signals cut through the void, calm and sharp. Peace was offered. You chose war. The galaxy now sees your truth. The Admiral roared in rage, but it was too late. One by one, his ships fell silent. Engines dead, weapons locked. Crews trapped inside their powerless war machines. Not a single human shot was fired. The galaxy gasped. Billions saw with their own eyes. The true flame had not been hunted. Not been attacked, they had walked into their own ruin. Humanity had only revealed it. On Earth, the envoy finally allowed himself a smile. Not the smile of victory, but of certainty. The galaxy has seen, he whispered. The choice is now clear. And in that moment, the true flame's fire began to die. Not with battles, not with blood, but with truth. The true flame had been humiliated. Across the galaxy, everyone had watched their proud fleet drift powerless, caught in humanity's trap. Billions whispered of what they saw. Some laughed, some cheered, some simply stared in silence. But the scarred admiral did not break. Shame burned in him, but so did rage. "They made a fool of us," he growled to his surviving captains. "But I will not kneel. I will not fade into history as their toy. If the galaxy will not follow us, then we will burn it until they have no choice." His captains hesitated. Their ships were broken, their supplies gone. Many had lost faith, yet the admiral's voice carried fire strong enough to keep them close. "We still have weapons," he said. "Weapons they cannot control." He spoke of hidden arsenals, deep and forgotten systems, super weapons left behind by the old empire. Shields that could cover entire planets. Cannons that could pierce moons. And one weapon darker than all the rest, one even his captains feared to speak of. The admiral swore he would use them, not against Earth directly, but against the galaxy itself. If humanity wanted to build peace, he would shatter it world by world until nothing was left. Far away, on Earth, humanity already knew. Their networks had traced every hidden signal, every desperate call for help. They saw the admiral's path like light on a map. "He is finished," one strategist said. "But his fall will not be quiet." The envoy, as calm as ever, nodded. "We must let him show his last face. The galaxy must see his truth fully before the end." And so humanity waited again. The admiral struck first at a neutral world, a planet with no fleets, no armies, only trade and families. His ships descended from the dark like vultures, cities burned, towers fell, millions screamed into the void for help. For the first time, humanity answered directly. Not with fleets, not with weapons, but with ships carrying shields machines that spread across the skies and wrapped whole cities in protection. Bombs fell, but they vanished into shimmering walls of light. Firestorms raged, but they broke against invisible barriers. The true flame struck again and again. But the planet did not burn, and the whole galaxy watched. "They destroy," humanity's envoy said in his quiet voice, broadcasted to every world. "We protect." It was not a battle of weapons. It was a battle of truth. The admiral roared in fury. "They make us weak. They turn the galaxy into cowards." His captains looked at him with doubt in their eyes. For the first time, many wondered if the humans were not enemies at all but guardians. The admiral knew he was losing. Fear no longer worked. Fire no longer worked. His fleets were breaking. His name was turning from legend to curse. And so, he made his final choice. He would unleash the darkest weapon of the old. Empire device locked away for centuries. A weapon not meant to conquer but to erase. It could tear apart stars, rip systems into nothing, and turn thriving worlds into silent ash. His captains begged him to stop. "This will kill us all," they shouted. "There will be no galaxy left to rule." But the admiral no longer cared. "If I cannot rule," he snarled, "then I will leave nothing for them to rule either. Let the stars themselves burn." The galaxy trembled. On Earth, the envoy listened to the reports. For the first time, his calm face grew hard. His voice was steady, but colder than ever before. "Then it ends now," he said. The game of patience was over. Humanity had waited, watched, and revealed. But if the admiral truly meant to erase worlds, then silence was no longer enough. The stars themselves were now in danger. And for the first time, the galaxy would see what humanity kept hidden. Not tricks, not traps, but power. The air inside the underground chamber grew heavy, as if the stone walls themselves were holding their breath. The admiral's torchlight flickered across strange carvings on the ceiling lines, symbols and spirals that none of the human linguists could decipher, yet the alien prisoners, chained and weakened nearby, trembled at the sight of them. They tried to avert their eyes, muttering words in broken galactic speech. One of the humans noticed. "They're not afraid of us," he whispered. "They're afraid of what's written here." The admiral's jaw tightened. He had seen fear before, in battlefields, in dying soldiers, in desperate enemies. But this was something else deep, primal terror, the kind that comes from legends whispered for millennia. He leaned closer to the alien leader, forcing the creature to meet his gaze. "What does it say?" the admiral demanded. The alien shook, its mouth opening and closing. Finally, in a rasping voice, it answered, "It is the seal. The last barrier. You do not understand what you stand before." The room went silent. Even the humans holding weapons felt a chill crawl down their spines. The Admiral turned back to the carvings. His eyes traced the strange patterns again, and for a moment he thought he could almost feel them moving, like the symbols themselves were alive, pulsing faintly under the stone. "Seal of what?" he pressed. The alien's voice cracked. "The seal of the hunger." He locked it away, at the cost of entire civilizations. It must never be broken. Before anyone could react, a low vibration spread through the chamber. Dust fell from the ceiling. The carvings shimmered faintly, glowing as if they had been touched by unseen hands. The humans stumbled back, raising their rifles instinctively. The Admiral barked orders, his voice sharp and steady. "Form perimeter. No one touches anything." But deep inside, he felt the cold truth. The seal was not breaking because of them. It was already weakening. Something had been stirring long before humanity arrived. One of the soldiers muttered, "Sir, what if this isn't a prison? What if it's a warning?" The Admiral didn't answer. His eyes locked on the glowing patterns, and in that moment, he knew the galaxy had lied. Humanity had not stumbled into someone else's war. They had walked straight into the heart of a nightmare, and the seal was about to shatter. The galaxy was burning. Human fleets moved like storms, crushing every enemy stronghold they found. Alien commanders who once laughed at Earth now whispered in fear when the name humanity was spoken. But not all of them were destroyed. A desperate alliance of alien races gathered on the edge of the galaxy, bringing together every surviving warship they had. It was the largest fleet ever assembled, millions of ships. Fueled by fear, bound by one goal, to stop the humans. In the command halls of the alien coalition, voices trembled as they spoke. "They cannot be reasoned with," one said. "Will not stop until the galaxy is theirs," another whispered. Yet even as they gathered, they knew the truth. Humans had not started this war. They had answered it. And the more the galaxy resisted, stronger Earth became. When the great coalition armada entered the battle zone, silence filled space. Before them stood the human Titan warships, black silhouettes against the stars. Their hulls glowed faintly with strange energy. Their weapons were beyond comprehension. The battle began like thunder. Alien fleets poured fire into the humans, but Earth's ships cut through them with terrifying precision. Entire armadas burned in moments. The sky became a graveyard of broken metal and drifting bodies. Then the humans unleashed something new, a weapon never seen before. A single shot split apart a planet-sized carrier, breaking it into dust. The shockwave rippled across the system, shattering the morale of the coalition. It was no longer a war. It was an execution. And yet, one alien leader, broken and terrified, sent out a final broadcast across the galaxy. His words carried on every frequency, reaching every world, every colony, even Earth itself. "Stop. Stop this madness. If humans win here, none of us will survive." Out. They are not conquerors. They are something else. Something older. Something hidden. We have awakened the wrong enemy. But the message came too late. The last ships of the coalition burned in silence. Humanity stood victorious, surrounded by the wreckage of empires, and across the galaxy, civilizations knelt in fear. Some called for surrender, some called for vengeance. But all of them agreed on one truth. The galaxy would never be the same, because humanity had risen, and this time they would not fall back into silence. The stars themselves belonged to them now.